Fans thought Doc Shaw just slipped out of the spotlight for years. Time has lost yet another little star. But now that he's 33, he's speaking up. And the business is being rocked by what he's exposing about Tyler Perry and House of Pain. The truth that Doc suppressed for more than 10 years is finally out despite emotional hurdles and behind-the-scenes power struggles. You'll be shocked to learn who he specifically names. What actually transpired behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable black sitcoms in America. Why did Laramie Doc Shaw, a promising young actor, abruptly fall off the Hollywood radar? What part did Tyler Perry actually play in his meteoric ascent and collapse in the workforce? We're delving deeply into a revelation that has been building for years on today's episode. Doc Shaw, who is only 33 years old, is at last coming forward to discuss the difficult realities, lost chances and silent struggles he faced while working for Tyler Perry Studios and shooting House of Pain. This isn't the diluted version, I assure you. You'll hear Doc's thoughts on the industry's pressure to remain silent and smile, the reasons for his weight gain throughout filming, the response from the production, his complex connection with Tyler Perry, as well as the pivotal moment that made him leave it all. Additionally, we'll investigate the public's reaction, the unsettling queries his confession has brought up regarding the treatment of young black performers in Hollywood, and the fan hypotheses. Keep your focus on Doc because what he just revealed affects more than just him. It illuminates a whole system. Let's go back to the beginning first though. A rising performer with lofty aspirations and even greater talent, Laramie Doc Shaw had never set foot on Tyler Perry's soundstage. Doc was raised in the center of the South, a place rich in community, culture, and creative impact, after being born in Atlanta, Georgia. Before most children were even riding bikes, he was getting modeling jobs because to his early charisma. However, Doc didn't become well known until 2006 when he was just 14 years old, after he was chosen to play Malik Payne in Tyler Perry's House of Pain. To be clear, this wasn't your average comedy. For black families all around America, House of Pain served as a cultural pillar. It struck a mix between serious concerns and slapstick humor. Addiction, adultery, generational trauma, and Doc Shaw, the witty, endearing grandson who brightened every scene, were all part of it. Every week millions of people watched. Doc also developed into more than just a child actor. He turned become a symbol, a good portrayal of young black people using humor, intelligence, and heart to navigate a turbulent environment. And on the surface everything appeared ideal for a time. Then, however, something changed. Fans began to take notice around season 6. Malik was evolving. He spent less time on screens. His appearance changed dramatically. There were rumors that Doc was having health problems or that he had been written out. Doc Shaw had all but disappeared from the public consciousness by the time House of Pain concluded its first season in 2012. There was silence, no big goodbye show, no new TV deals, no red carpet appearances, and for more than 10 years the mystery was stoked by that quiet. Until now, Doc had never responded to the questions. Did he fall out with Tyler Perry? Was there something going on behind the scenes? Did Hollywood chew him up and spit him out like so many others? Doc finally opened out in a recent uncensored podcast interview. Furthermore, he disclosed more than just his own hardships. It was about the fame's underlying system, a system that left him feeling used, ignored, and invisible. When you think you've heard everything, Doc reveals something shocking about what transpired on set that made him permanently leave. However, we will address that in a moment. Let's start by discussing how the demands of fame and body image nearly ruined him, and why no one in the business intervened to save him. Doc Shaw was just 14 years old and still figuring out who he was when he made his first appearance on the House of Pain set. But he was more than simply Malik Payne in a matter of years. He was Malik to all. The unseen weight of constantly being on, even when the cameras weren't rolling, came along with that fame. Fans couldn't help but notice Doc's appearance gradually changing as the seasons went by. He began to put on a lot of weight. The vivacious, trim teen whom the audience initially loved was gradually changing, and regrettably, so were the remarks. Cruel jokes and nasty remarks started to circulate on social media, frequently omitting the individual who created the persona. But this is the reality that Doc recently shared in a moving audio interview. In order to deal with my depression, I started eating, because I didn't know how to handle the loneliness, stress, and worry that came with that celebrity. I was putting on weight. He acknowledged that he was struggling with emotional exhaustion by the time he was in his late teens. He felt stuck in a system that protected him off-screen yet lauded him on-screen. Doc claims that no wellness check-ins, mental health resources or assistance for the young cast members' emotional well-being were provided. After filming a scene, I would return to my trailer and simply sit there. Nobody inquired about my well-being. The saddest thing is that in spite of his obvious changes, no one from production intervened to have an honest discussion about his health. He said that there was no sincere support despite rumors, sidelong glances, and a few private jokes about how Malik had changed this season. Additionally, the weight was not only mental, it was also bodily. He clarified that he developed an emotional eating pattern as a result of the stress, the unpredictable filming schedules, and the emotional pressure to always be the endearing, hilarious Malik. And he became isolated as a result of that weight increase, which was exacerbated by public scrutiny. Once supporting fans started to turn against him, his image began to be framed in headlines as problematic. Calls for casting stalled. As we've witnessed far too often, Hollywood has moved on. You can be the most popular person in the world until you lose your marketability. Here's the twist though. Doc Shaw made a choice that would alter his life rather than going totally insane. He vanished in order to recover, re-establish and regain authority. He disclosed that he discreetly sought assistance from a holistic health coach and a personal therapist while taking a sabbatical from performing. Doc entirely changed his eating habits, started practicing mindfulness, and lost almost 60 pounds in a year. The emotional clarity he attained, however, was perhaps more remarkable than the physical change. Doc was able to view his life without the influence of Tyler Perry Studios or Malik Payne for the first time in years. He wasn't merely recovering physically, he was getting his voice back. The decision to speak up for himself and any young black actors who have ever been used for ratings and then dumped when they don't fit the industry's model came with that newfound confidence. This is when things become even more intense. Doc candidly discusses in his interview what it was like to work for Tyler Perry's enormous business and the reasons he felt left behind when things counted most. Let's be truthful, people instantly conjure images of authority, riches and power when they hear the name Tyler Perry. One of the world's most prosperous black-owned production companies is Tyler Perry Studios. And for performers like Doc Shaw, getting hired by Perry was a dream, not simply a chance. In his most recent interview, Doc made it abundantly evident that he greatly admired Tyler Perry for providing him with a platform that transformed his life. He didn't mince words. He acknowledged that his career might never have gotten off without House of Pain and referred to Tyler Perry as a trailblazer. This is where things become more tricky though. Doc says that respect gradually morphed into bewilderment and ultimately disappointment. Doc stated that there is a distinction between providing a platform and helping someone after they are on it. The vibe on set changed after House of Pain started to pick up steam, he explained. Scripts were hurried, the production became more intense, and there was increasing pressure to produce quicker and funnier stuff. Doc started to feel like a cog in a machine behind the scenes. One that continued despite personal struggles, sadness and burnout. He claimed that there were times when he made an effort to speak with producers about taking pauses, concentrating on mental health, or even just taking a little break to refocus. However, those discussions were either ignored completely or never reached Tyler's desk. Doc explained, "I don't think he ever hated me. However, I do believe that once I stopped bringing in the chuckles, I became invisible." One particularly startling instance occurred during the revival of House of Pain. When Malik returned, fans were taken aback, but his portrayal was more dramatic, bordering on clownish. And Doc objected to that. He claimed that they made the show's smartest character, the one who aspired to be a leader and a doctor, the target of every joke. Malik was no longer someone I recognized. To be honest, I also didn't recognize myself. This change in approach became the tipping moment. Doc disclosed that he attempted to voice his displeasure with the way Malik's persona was being depicted. He even expressed in a letter how uncomfortable he was with the new course and how it made him feel dehumanized and typecast. Doc said that letter went unnoticed. Doc ceased attending cast interviews shortly after that. He politely turned down invitations to promotional events, and finally he vanished entirely from the cast list. Even worse, Doc never had direct contact with Tyler Perry in the years that followed. No phone call, message, or check-in to inquire about his well-being or what transpired. And that quiet was more powerful than any rejection ever could have been for someone who had grown up on Perry's sets and seen Tyler as a mentor. At that moment I understood that I was a resource rather than a person, and I was useless as soon as that item was worthless. Doc clarified, however, that this isn't about retaliation or bitterness. Accountability is key, as is ensuring that upcoming actors don't experience the same emotional erasure. These days he exhorts young artists to speak up, seek assistance, and never be afraid to leave a system that no longer works for them. Even more unexpected was what transpired after Doc departed the industry. He didn't simply stop performing, he moved in the direction of his goal. When the majority of young actors are overlooked by Hollywood, the assumption remains constant. The celebrity was too much for them, they became disoriented. However, Doc Shaw's disappearance was not the end of his story. It was the start of an entirely new life. One has roots in legacy, education, and healing. Doc stepped away from the glamour and splendor of House of Pain, but not in defeat. Few people in his position had the strength to do what he did. He prioritized his physical and mental well-being. Even Doc's closest supporters were taken aback when he decided to enroll in college at the age of barely 24. Doc was pursuing calm, education, and inner power, while others sought more auditions and invitations to the red carpet. In an interview, he said, "I didn't want to be someone's employee forever. I wanted to understand the game from the other side. How to own my story, build my own lane, and create content that actually means something." He started studying business and media management. This is where it becomes very remarkable. Doc didn't simply vanish after attending school. During that period, he established a new media outlet that told real, underrepresented black tales. No more laugh tracks, no more personalities that have been watered down. Genuine truth and authentic narrative. In the background, he has also been working with NGOs that support young men of color, particularly those in the entertainment sector, with their mental health. Doc claimed that he felt compelled to assist others who were navigating celebrity without a roadmap or emotional support system. "If someone had sat me down at 16 and told me, it's okay to take a break, maybe I wouldn't have suffered so long in silence." He now instructs young creatives on how to safeguard their minds while pursuing their goals in talks at schools and creative incubators. And you know what? Doc is returning to the screen as well. On his own terms though. He is currently working on a limited edition documentary series in which he will discuss what actually transpires once the limelight fades with other former child stars. Imagine it as narrative combined with treatment. Unadulterated, open, and essential. Perhaps the most unexpected aspect of Doc's recent chapter is that he has shared intimate details about his beliefs. Doc claims that despite the pain and disappointment he went through, he discovered serenity in his relationship with God rather than in religion as a whole. "I was not healed by fame. Counseling was beneficial, the community was helpful, but believing that I was more than just a TV character rescued me." He isn't trying to get even with Tyler Perry. He's not resentful. He doesn't even seek approval. Finally, he is free. Additionally, Doc Shaw's story stands out as one of silent revolution in a world where young black celebrities are continuously sucked up by the fame machine and spat out when they are no longer profitable. He didn't burn up in a crash. He didn't lose it. He got up. However, his final statement was the most impactful part of the entire discussion, leaving the audience stunned. Know that your narrative doesn't end here. If you're viewing this and feel ignored, forgotten, or silenced, you can still stand, and so can I. The tale of Doc Shaw is more than just a sentimental journey through House of Pain's heyday. Hollywood and Tyler Perry aren't the only factors involved. It's about self-worth, survival, and having the guts to leave a dysfunctional system in order to take back your identity. While the cameras continued to shoot, we saw Doc develop on screen, laughed with him, applauded him, and unwittingly saw his internal disintegration.
It is quite remarkable how he went from being a well-liked good kid star to a young man who lost himself in the commotion and then found his way back in silence. To be clear, his quiet was not a sign of weakness. It was a plan, it was restorative. He's speaking now, and he's doing it with presence, purpose and power. Doc Shaw is more than just Malik at 33. He is a storyteller, speaker, entrepreneur, and mental health champion on his own terms. He left one of the largest entertainment machines to re-establish his peace, which was far more potent. Additionally, his voice is now being heard in a society that rejects silent suffering in favor of noisy achievement. What does Doc's story teach us, then? The entertainment business continues to severely disregard mental health. While fame is ephemeral, identity is crucial. Young black males in the media are deserving of more than praise. They should be helped. Above all, leaving is not a sign of failure. It's the most courageous thing you can do at times. Please share this story if it touched you. Share the importance of Doc Shaw's journey with others. Post your ideas in the comments section below. Did you like House of Pain? Have you noticed the change? What are your thoughts on Tyler Perry's lack of comment during this entire situation? Most importantly, remember that you are not alone if you have ever felt like you had to endure suffering in silence. To ensure that you never miss these in-depth articles that delve beyond the headlines and reveal the real story behind the celebrity, be sure to press the bell, like and subscribe. Keep conscious, keep motivated, and never be scared to speak your truth till the next time.